All right. Check 1 2 3 1 2 3 for recording purposes. If I can get your name, please.
Oh yeah, I'm D.O. Gibson.
Name of the tour is?
The Canadian Black Tour.
And the name of the upcoming album is?
Seeds and Dominoes was the last album, and I have a new album called Second Home.
Let's do this. Coming down in 3, 2, and 1. D.O. Do I call you D.O.?
Everybody calls me a different thing. A lot of people call me Uncle these days, though, too.
I won't even ask where the uncle comes from. I'm going to go with D, all right?
Well, D is how I prefer to be called a lot of the time, because I'm Dwayne to principals at schools when I do my school shows. I'm D.O. to some of my friends, but then I'm D. But I say Uncle as well because I've helped mentor a lot of artists in the game.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go with D.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's always great getting a chance to speak with you. Do you remember the first time we had a chance to meet?
You're gonna have to remind me.
Canadian Music Week.
Canadian Music Week.
It was after the awards.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, it was also in the afternoon. I saw
Yes.
you in the hotel lobby, and I said, "Hey, man, I just want to say what's up." And then we started talking,
Yep.
and you said, "Get a hold of me this time." And I was like, "Serious?" And you were like, "Get a hold of me." And then we came downstairs and we did the interview, and you put me on the spot and had me freestyle, and I appreciated that.
Well, you know what? From the day that I met you, anytime I talked about artists that are making an impact in Canada, it's you, because you were a natural. And the thing is, though, with all the hard work that you've been doing, you're still giving time to give back. A lot of people don't have the time, man. You've got a very special tour that's happening during Black History Month. What's going on with this?
Well, what I like is that I've been able to talk about Black Canadian history, and I think that's a really key thing, because for too long, when we do talk about Black history, which is important, we only talk about Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks, and I have a long Canadian lineage, so I'm glad that I can go out to schools and talk about some Black Canadian history.
Why did you come up with this? Like, how did this all come about?
When I moved to Toronto, really, because I grew up in a lot of small towns from all over Canada, and people would say to me, "D, where are you from?" And I would say, one of the small towns I'm from, and they'd say, "No, where are you really from?" And I'd say, another place that I grew up at, and then they'd say, "No, like, where are your parents from? Where are your grandparents from?" And I'd say, Canada. And so my family's from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, and so I wanted to start talking about how we have to be proud as Canadians. I'm not a first or second generation Canadian. My family's been here for over 100 years, so I wanted to tell that story to kids that might not know about it.
Now, you're hitting all the schools, right?
I'm hitting all the schools. I do 2 to 4 shows a day, every single day. I have 60 shows on this tour.
Wow. But when you're doing this, it's not just about you're giving the history and whatever. You do some performance too, don't you?
Well, it's always got to be a performance. I always like to tell the school when I get there, I say I want to talk, I want to rap, I want to have a little fun, but I'm glad to be here because it's Black History Month.
Absolutely. What's the reaction been for the kids so far? I did see a picture, I think it was on Instagram. I mean, these kids were just smothering you, man. They loved what you were doing.
I think it's really phenomenal that kids really connect with my voice. I think sometimes if you just come in as somebody who does a presentation and does it by the book, that they don't always connect. So what I try to do is I start rapping. I get all the kids rapping. I play videos. I show them who Drake is, who they connect with, but then I say, Canadian music goes deeper. Do you guys know who this guy is? And on the screen comes Maestro Fresh West. And I think kids really have to know how he paved the way. Some of the teachers know, but Maestro Fresh West is the godfather for a reason. And then I follow up and say, Oscar Peterson is also one of the most respected musicians in the world. I want you guys to know who he is.
I get you realize, too, he's on a stamp also, so
Yeah.
very, very important. How did you make all this time to do this? And as we were just talking, you were in the Grammys, you're traveling around the world. This must have been really important for you to do, knowing that you still had all these places to go, like L.A. and other places around the world.
A month ago, I was in London, England. Then a couple of days, I did a show out there. Then I went to Amsterdam, and I did a mini tour out there. And then, I just got back from the Grammys. I attended the Grammys, but what I also was really proud of is I put on a show over the weekend. It's called Northern Hospitality, and I do it on the Grammy weekends. And I was able to put on some young artists, some black women artists and black male artists as well, because I find that they've been overlooked in this country. So sold out the show, and it was a fun time in Los Angeles.
There we go. That's where the uncle comes from. But you're still making music yourself with all of this going on. What's going on? Because I understand that sometime in the spring, I do believe, you got some new music happening.
What I like to do is be consistent. That's what I pride myself in. So I just have a new single called Come On, Cuz, and I shot the video for in the UK, out in Brick Lane, and that's going to be coming out. Then I have a new song called Josiah, which is about Josiah Henson, who was the first black man on a stamp in Canada. And then finally, I have a new single that I'm really excited about. It's called Still Got It, which is about when you're with a woman for a long time and she still got it. So you want to show her love and you want to show her respect.
Where does the drive and the positivity come from?
Well, it's called Stay Driven, as you can see here. But it really comes from my parents. It comes from my dad, who just really raised me to say, never forget where you come from, learn about it. And it comes from my mom, who said, if you're going to have a dream, that's nice, but have a plan and work on that dream. As a kid, I wanted to be a WWF wrestler. And my mom said, do you know that Hulk Hogan went to business school? Now, we didn't have the internet to look it up. I don't know, but I realized when my dream was to be a rapper that I had to learn the music business and have the education, not to fall back on, but it would help me throughout my life.
So what advice do you give those kids out there who are trying to follow their dreams like you have succeeded in?
I tell them about a poem. It's by Langston Hughes. It's called Harlem, A Dream Deferred. And so what happens in that poem is I tell kids my dream was to be a rapper, but I had to defer my dream. It didn't happen overnight. I had to work at it constantly, consistently for years. But I talk about how your dream can dry up like a raisin in the sun. It can be syrupy sweet, or your dream can explode. And I think if your dream explodes, that's a good thing, because it means that your dream is bigger than you thought was possible. And I explain that by saying Martin Luther King's dream exploded 10 years ago in the United States. And they're like, what happened 10 years ago? And I'm like, there's a guy named Barack Obama. For you guys, you just grew up with Barack Obama. For my grandfather, for my uncle, they never thought it was possible that there was going to be a black man to be president. So I tell kids to work at their dream, even if it's deferred, because one day your dream can explode.
Where do we go to get information on the tour? Where do we go also? And when is the album going to be coming out too?
The album's coming out in April. It's called Second Home. And the best way to find me is at I Am D.O. Gibson. And that's on Twitter, I Am D.O. Gibson, YouTube, I Am D.O. Gibson, or IamDOGibson.com.
Fantastic. My friend, thank you for the interview, but more importantly, thank you for the positivity that you're giving us across Canada.
And more importantly, thank you for doing your job, because you put on for a lot of people, and you're part of Canadian Black history as well.
Big love to you, my friend.
I mean that.